First, I want to introduce the core folk because they are really the most important thing that's happening here. So I see two of them in back. Can you guys stand up? That's Julie and Megan. The other two are busy doing experiments, as we hope. But so basically what I want to say is that if you guys have more questions, we really need you to interact with the core folk. There's two of them. The other two are busy in the lab. Give us a call. Give us an email. That's really the best way to get in touch with us. Okay. So what I want to talk about today is really a scientific revolution that's taking place as we sit here. Okay, it's massive. It's something that we've never really seen before, and I want to just say that we at Virginia Tech we need to start a movement. Okay, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that here in a second. Okay, so first. At Virginia Tech, I think we really need to change how we think. Okay, if we look at what's going on as we sit here, data collection is really going through a massive change in terms of how much data we can collect, for how much money and how much time. What this is doing is it's really changing how we analyze data and then how we store data. So data analysis is now a serious bottleneck in everything that we do. And data storage is no longer an inconvenient add-on at the end of the project. We really need to start thinking about all these things collectively and up front. They need to be integrated into our projects and planning at the grant stage. Okay? So what I'm saying is that what we really need to do is make a movement at Virginia Tech to collectively come together and solve some of these problems. So one thing that you guys might ask me is, well, what do you mean by movement? Okay, we've all had management classes and leadership classes, and you've probably not heard this term movement, and I hadn't either before I started thinking about this. And so I hope you can indulge me for about 2.5 minutes here.
If you've learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and create ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not 2 nuts. 3 is a crowd and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made.
So now we know what a movement is.
How do we join?
Stand up, support us. Okay, so here it is. What do we need? All right, we need a cause. Okay, we need something to rally around to create a nut. Okay, then we need supporters and followers to transform the nut into a leader. Okay, so what am I talking about? This seems pretty abstract. Here it is. All right, here's our cause. The issue is that we are experiencing a scientific revolution that I'm going to say this, we've never seen something like this before. You might go back and you might say, well, you know, computers revolutionized science in a way that we hadn't seen before. And I'm gonna just say that I think that what we're gonna see over the next year to 2 years is something that will far outpace what we saw with computers. Probably no one here remembers the addition of cars. You know, I don't know, Dennis. Maybe it's but so we've got a data generation revolution that we really need to rally behind, and that will really transform how we think. And at Virginia Tech, if we don't tackle this and create a movement and a rallying point around where we are going, we are going to be left behind and we will not be successful. So that is really what I mean. Let's see some data. So I pulled this off of the NHGRI website. This is the cost of sequencing over the past decade. The white line is Moore's law, so that's the equivalent to the computers, right? So doubling every 18 months or whatever. You can see over the past about 4 years, we have vastly surpassed the decrease in cost that Moore's law provided. What I put down there is the little gray dot. This is where this sequencing is going to be in about, well, by the end of this year. So there's 2 vendors that are driving this, right now at least. Life Technology with the ion torrent, and then Illumina with the HiSeq, okay? So this is right now, this is this year. By the end of this year, we're gonna see 2 logs of decrease in the cost of sequencing. So think about how many samples you might sequence by the end of this year if you see, you know, basically your sequencing costs to go down to 1% of what it is today. And it's a massive change in the landscape. So what does this all mean, okay? So if we think about where science has been over the last, say, 30 years, when we really started thinking about biology 30 years ago, we might spend our whole career looking at a single enzyme, a single protein, a single molecule. That's transformed to pathways, and then organelles, you know, Golgi, you know, what does the Golgi do? Mitochondria, spliceosome. Then someone said, well, you know, you can't think of the organelle, the organelles in an organism, okay? And now people are talking about, well, the organism has neighbors, maybe we need to think about ecosystems and diversity and that type of stuff. The problem is, that's where we are today, okay? So, you know, last year we had a nice paper on biodiversity where someone sequenced 16S ribosomal genes in river effluent, okay? They looked at all species and tried to catalog all species in this river. This year we had the same type of thing, but in cheek swabs and in oral cavities. And then in February we saw that we saw a Nature paper where someone looked at all of his genome and proteome and metabolome over time. So this one guy is combining all of that into one, and that's happening now, okay? So what I'm going to say is this. These days are gone. These dinosaurs are going extinct. It's no longer one scientist, one experiment, one paper, okay? Science is bigger than that now, and we have to be prepared for that. So what I'd like you to think about is where you are at Virginia Tech, okay? We have a lot of scientists here. We have a lot of good scientists that we should take advantage of in terms of their proximity, okay? We need to team together. Some of that is support services. So here at VBI, we have developed support services, and I would encourage you to come and talk to us. So back to our momentum thing. So what we learned was that someone has to lead and someone has to follow. And it's not about the leader, it's about the followers. So what is VBI doing in this? VBI is really over the last decade, we've created cores to help support our investigators internally to VBI, but also on campus and worldwide. Recently, we've begun integrating these cores because what we've realized is that you can't think about data generation without thinking about storage and analysis. So that's what we're doing. We're leading. So, you know, I'm willing to sit up here as a lone nut, but I need some support. So one thing that we've done is we've done it all here. We've done it all in-house, which is convenient because it's all in one infrastructure. So just a few things that we have. We've got robotics to handle high throughput sequencing or high throughput experiments. We've got next gen sequencers to handle some of these higher throughput sequencing experiments. We've begun looking at third generation sequencers, and what I'm telling you is by the end of the year, I don't know if we're going to call it fourth gen or not, but there's going to be some new technologies available that are even more high throughput than what we're seeing now. And all of this doesn't happen without data analysis, okay? It's not just data analysis, it's not just pushing buttons, we have to have biological insight. And if any of you can think about what he's talking about, tell me, I'd like to know. And all of this, of course, is combined with what Don was just talking about. It's all got to happen in a compute environment. We've got to take the data off the machines. We've got to store it. We've got to analyze it. We've got to share it, and it's going to take large efforts. So where I want to leave you is this: if we lead the way, will you follow? Okay. So are these core services important to you? If so, we need to hear from you, and we need to get some reality checks on where we're going. So what I hope is that you'll support us. So transform us into a lone nut, or from a lone nut into a leader. If we can do this, we can gain momentum at Virginia Tech, and together we can create a movement, and that's really what it's going to take to be successful in the next decade. So we're all Virginia Tech. There's no issues here, and I don't know about you, but I'm ready to start.